Five Nights at Freddy's is taking the world by storm in terms of gameplay. You know, you're a security guard at like a Chuck E. Cheese style, you know, restaurant. Supposedly you have these haunted, you know, the haunted animatronic animals that come out and might want to kill you.
It's a really cool game. It's based largely on jump scares and learning patterns. The first one, at least. I have the second one, haven't played it. I have not played the third one. I know they're different, so please don't fucking flame me. But the first one is pretty cool. I suck at it. But you learn these patterns, and it is a world that I gotta give the guy credit. It's interesting. And from what I've heard from people who have played through the second and the third one, the backstory gets more and more interesting. It's not a case where he's run out of ideas. The person who's or she who's made this is really kind of created a backstory and a back lore to these living animatronic characters who will eat your face. So Warner Brothers, I believe it is,
yes,
has purchased the movie rights to Five Nights at Freddy's. And I'm so split on this because I burped. Because I suck at Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm not good at the game. I can't figure out the patterns. As a matter of fact, I got to admit, as much as I love the aesthetic and the idea, at least in the first game, I don't feel like it's much of a game at all. But I like what it's going for, and I would love to see that. Except for the fact that video game movies just never seem to get it right. Because you have to add so much more to something to make it a movie. And I think what Five Nights at Freddy's really... where it really benefits is the lack of extra stuff. It's the unknown that really makes you wonder.
You're sitting in a room. You're pointing, clicking on monitors.
You're terrified.
And closing doors and turning on lights and shit. That's what you're doing. So obviously you can't have that as a movie. So what could a movie potentially be? A movie could be like Night at the Museum, where a guy's trapped, running around, getting away from these things. It's horror with some comedy mixed in. Maybe add a couple more people. Maybe one or two get killed. You know, maybe do it like a dark comedy. That could be a possibility.
It could, it could do that same exact thing that you said. Only it could explore. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with it, but I know that there's a large backstory with Freddy Fazbear and all the characters. You can explore that. I mean, it's doable, but fuck people.
Let's be honest.
Sometimes video games like my favorite video game. One of my favorite video games of all time is Killer 7. And that has lots of exposition. And you know what? You can't do it as a movie. Video games just don't make good movies.
The only successful, or actually the only ones that have actually come out, have been based upon popular games. Like, I mean popular mainstream games. Even if you talk about the disasters that were Double Dragon.
Popular mainstream games that have so much back lore or are so vague in what they do, like Tomb Raider. Where really, I mean, all you need to do for Tomb Raider is put Angelina Jolie in a Tomb Raider suit and
Indiana
be like,
Jones,
and we're doing Indiana Jones,
yes.
And it works.
And that's why it was successful, and that's why they had two movies. Mortal Kombat had a couple movies. Mortal Kombat Say What
The first one was fantastic. Why? Because they got a good soundtrack. They got a bunch of good fighters. They made Bloodsport for the 90s.
The whole point was, even you can say Super Mario Bros. Was a disaster in terms of execution, but the only reason that it could have been made is because it was a popular franchise.
Right.
In the mainstream. This is not a popular game in the mainstream. This is still sort of a...
very much a cult classic.
It's a cult niche game. So I will go on record as saying there's 10 to 1 odds that this will even ever get made.
I mean, we've talked before when we talk movies and rights purchasing that does not mean a movie is getting made.
No, they bought the rights for it.
And I highly doubt that this will ever get
because when this comes out, no one's going to know it's based on a video game, and even if it was, people will be like, who cares? You can't sell it that this is a video game to the mainstream.
I would, and I wanted to say that, though. I would almost bank on that being its one strong point, is that if they did make a movie about it, almost no one in the mainstream would know that it was based on a video game. So if they did happen to have a good script, they could get away with it, even though it might piss off fans of the actual series. The people who have no idea, it could still be a good script.
They might just think, oh, this is like a humorous takeoff on Chuck E. Cheese.
There's not a whole lot humorous about Five Nights at Freddy's, but I'm just saying.
I'm just saying in their head, it's a dark, twisted version, or at least on the East Coast, Razzmatazz, which was our version of Chuck E. Cheese. We had Chuck E. Cheese too, but Razzmatazz.
Or Major Magics. Do you remember Major Magics?
No, we had Razzmatazz.
We had Major Magics.
Okay,
well,
the animatronic was the rage.
Yeah, it was.